Hi all, my name is Ryan. I am a junior environmental studies and physics major here at PLU. I am a member of Choir of the West. I also participate in intramural soccer. You can see I'm a pretty big soccer fan because I have some soccer stuff around my room, and I'll show you a little bit about what your room could look like if you live in Ordal Hall. Here at PLU we call our res halls instead of dormitories, just because we feel that it encompasses the environment of what you'll be doing here more than dormitory. It feels more homey. You aren't just sleeping here. You're in community with other people. You're facilitating conversation. You're talking about your classes, talking about your personal life, and you're hanging out in your res hall quite a bit. We think that res hall encompasses that idea a little bit more. Also, disclaimer, I abbreviate a lot of things. I use a lot of acronyms, and the acronym that I use that is associated with Ordal is DJS. DJS stands for Diversity, Justice, and Sustainability, and those are core values that PLU seeks to uphold. Ordal is associated with DJS because the learning communities within Ordal all have DJS themes. Learning communities are all opt-in communities that you can apply to live in, and they're essentially geared so that you can live in a community with people who share similar interests, hobbies, passions as you, and you can start facilitating that kind of conversation. Especially for first years, it's really helpful to live in a learning community of people who are interested in the same things as you, so you can have a really quick conversation starter and start making friends really quickly once you get onto campus. We have gone to different marches in Seattle, like women's marches or Black Lives Matter marches, and we can facilitate that kind of conversation just in our everyday lives with our peers and with people outside of Ordal. It's always on our mind. And I really have appreciated having a community of people who are passionate about those kinds of things, because I have personally learned a lot, and I learn more every day. What I want to stress about learning communities is that you don't have to be majoring in a specific area of study to live in any learning community. So I wouldn't have to be majoring in environmental studies to live in this environmental and social justice wing. Same thing goes for if I wanted to live in a STEM wing. I wouldn't have to be majoring in anything STEM related. This year I live in a single room, but this is also the same size of room you would live in if you had a roommate. It has all of the same things you would have if you were living with a roommate. So you'll have two beds, one of which I have here, the other I have here, and you'll have two desks. One of the things I appreciate about having some versatility of the way I have my beds is that I can have one lofted bed, which is this one, and then my other one I kind of have lower to the ground, so it's more of a couch kind of thing. But I can have storage underneath this lofted bed, which I really appreciate, because the res hall room's space can get kind of cluttered if you don't loft some of your beds or don't use storage effectively, so this is a really great way that you can maximize the space you have in a res hall room. One of the things that I really value about having just kind of like this customization, I guess, option with my beds is that I can maximize my storage by lofting one or both of my beds. You can loft your bed all the way up to the ceiling if you want a loft kit that makes it kind of like a bunk bed style. One of the ways that I maximize my storage is by having this specific bed lofted. One of the things I really value having is a fridge. It's by no means a necessity, but it's really nice to have. You can go to Old Main Market here on PLU's campus and get some perishable food items, and they will last a lot longer if you have a fridge. So I also have my other desk in here. Your res hall room will come with two desks, one for each roommate, unless you don't have a roommate, in which case maybe you need two desks, maybe you don't. I use this other bed as kind of a couch area. It's nice to just lounge around. Similar to my fridge, another thing that isn't a necessity but is kind of nice to have is just like a television. It's a great way that I can personally host like movie nights or just community nights in my room with my friends. It's a great way that I can just wind down after a long day, and I can use this kind of couch-like area right here to do that. I haven't talked much about roommates yet. During COVID, obviously, we all had single rooms, but when you do have roommates, you'll fill out a pretty detailed roommate questionnaire form, and I can't rave enough about that questionnaire form because of how detailed it is, and just the process that we go through of assigning roommates is really valuable, and I think that PLU does a great job at that. When you're applying for housing in a res hall, you'll also have to fill out a roommate questionnaire form, and that form is really detailed. It asks questions like, what time do you normally get up in the morning? Are you a morning or evening person? What are your hobbies? what interests you, what would you like to see in a roommate, what kind of roommate would you like to have, like do you want a roommate that is extroverted to complement you if you're introverted, or an extrovert to complement you if you are also extroverted, depending on if that's your vibe that you want to have. And then at the end of all that, you will submit this questionnaire form, and then a real person sits down and they look at all these questionnaire forms and they pair roommates based on similar interests, similar requests of what they want in a roommate. And I think it's really valuable that it's a real person doing this and not an algorithm. And it shows that PLU genuinely cares and wants its students to have the best experiences possible in their res hall room. So that's about it, apart from these bookshelves here. You'll get 2 bookshelves. I use this one for books and stuff. I have some scarves there too in storage. And then I use this one for more of my food stuff. And it's also nice to just have that uplifted storage so that you have more space to accommodate other things. On this side of the room, we have our wardrobes. So when you have a roommate, theoretically, you'll have one person's stuff in one side, your stuff in the other side, share kind of this shared drawer area, and you have more storage up above, which is really valuable as well. Another thing that I value about living in a themed learning community is that the RA also applies to the learning community that they live in. So for example, if I lived in the first in the family wing, the RA would also be a first in the family student. And I think it's really valuable for incoming students to know that they have that support system coming in. That is Ordal for you, DJS, ESJ is my wing, and I hope you've had a good time.